Hello everyone, and welcome. 30 years ago, on April 27, 1992, Kirby's Adventure was first released on Japanese territories for the Nintendo Game Boy, a game that would start a legacy that continues until this day. Some 20 years later, a young fan of the pink puffball decided to compile TV commercials for the many games Kirby had throughout his journey and uploaded a compilation to YouTube. That young fan was me, and after a good reception from the video, I was inspired to make a new video for his 25th anniversary, this time compiling the many copy abilities Kirby had used throughout the years. And so, we arrive at the present, leading up to the 30th anniversary on April 27th of 2022. I have baked something special for the occasion, so sit around as I tell you about the friends and foes Kirby has met during his many adventures, with the intention to honor and remember all our pink friend has lived for 30 years. This video series will feature the overall plot from Kirby's most important adventures, while focusing on his allies and villains in each of them. I will try to stick to the main adventures, so non-canon stories will be omitted. With that said, I wholeheartedly hope you enjoy it, and let's begin. Kirby's first heroic tale is a simple one that would start his long legacy. On one particular night, the self-proclaimed ruler of Dreamland, King Dedede, decided to steal the entire land's supply of food, as well as the sparkling stars, a resource that helped the Dreamland citizens on their day-to-day. After Kirby got notice of this, he did not stay put. Rather, he decided to face him in the name of the people of the land, and set forth towards Mount Dedede to get back what the king had stolen. On his journey, he encountered several foes, ones he would see many times in the coming years, such as Wispy Woods, Lololo and Lalala, Krako, and the mighty aircraft Kabula. While foes like these pop up in many of these other endeavors, only this time I will make mention of them. In addition, Kirby did not find much help from any friends on this occasion. However, his trusty Warp Star is always ready to help him out on a pinch. Waiting for him at the end of the road was the one and only King Dedede. With his trusty hammer, he faced off against Kirby, but our hero got the upper hand and defeated him in combat. Using the power of the sparkling stars he had recovered during his journey, he inflated like a giant balloon, lifting Castle Dedede and bringing back the food to all the inhabitants of Dreamland. A job well done for our young hero. Sleeping and dreaming was always a tradition in Dreamland. However, one particular day, Kirby did not dream anything on his afternoon nap. Confused, he learned that nobody in the land managed to have dreams that day. He then remembered the tale of the Fountain of Dreams, a place on the edge of the land said to be the source of all dreams, created when a fragment of a star fell down from the skies, which later became to be known as the Star Rod, that would rest on this very spring. Kirby went to this place to investigate, only to find the naughty King Dedede swimming on its waters. He confronted him about the spring, noticing the star rod to be missing. It appeared he split it up into 7 pieces and gave them to some of his trusted friends. Hearing this upset Kirby, who quickly ran off to collect the fragments, before Dedede was able to fully explain himself. During his journey to collect the 7 pieces, he kept encountering Meta Knight, who would send his troops of knights to try and stop him, eventually facing Kirby himself, though he acted in a more passive way, trying to not really harm Kirby, who came on top of their duel. After Meta Knight's retreat, only one fragment remained, and Kirby made his way back to the Fountain of Dreams, where Dedede had been waiting. He had no option but to fight him once again, to try and stop his fixing of the Star Rod. Kirby managed to defeat him and completely reassembled the legendary artifact, but King Dedede begged him not to return it to the fountain. Neglecting to hear him out, Kirby placed the rod where it rightfully belonged, only to find out he messed up, as a being known as Nightmare sprawled out of the fountain, absorbing its power and flying into the sky. Dedede then explained to Kirby in a hurry that he broke apart the Star Rod to prevent Nightmare, who recently came into Dreamland, from growing powerful and using its power for evil. And without hesitation, he absorbed Kirby and the Star Rod and launched them towards Nightmare. Kirby managed to weaken him in his dormant orb state, and then landed on the moon of planet Popstar, where both faced off one-on-one. Thanks to the power of the Star Rod, Kirby managed to defeat Nightmare. With his evil influence gone, Kirby returned the Star Rod to the Fountain of Dreams, reconciling with King Dedede and bringing peace and dreams back to the citizens of Dreamland. At some point, Kirby had taken residence upon the Rainbow Islands, a part of Dreamland where the islands were connected by rainbow bridges. However, one day, an evil entity known as Dark Matter showed up on the islands to stir up some trouble. He stole the rainbow bridges, took control of King Dedede, and hid himself at the top of a castle located on one of the islands. Kirby set out to stop this madness and bring back peace to the Rainbow Islands. However, this time he was not alone, for tagging along came 3 friends of his: Rick the Hamster, Kind the Fish, and Coo the Owl. They were initially kidnapped by the forces of Dark Matter, but after Kirby managed to defeat the foes guarding their imprisonment, they were free to aid Kirby on his quest, each of them bringing help to traversing the land, water, and the sea, together set forward to restore the rainbow bridges. For this task, Kirby needed to find the rainbow drops, special items that brought power to each of the islands. During his quest, he would sometimes find a mysterious individual that would aid him by healing Kirby and company, before leaving to do their own business. After traversing through the islands, Kirby had to face the foe alone. Waiting at the top of the dark castle was an ill-looking King Dedede. Kirby had no option but to face off against him. The poor monarch looked rather tired, as if it wasn't himself, but at times he would get suddenly enraged and would try to take down Kirby. After duking it out, Dedede was weakened, and the rainbow drops Kirby had collected merged with each other, creating the legendary Rainbow Sword. Armed with this weapon, the true culprit was revealed. Being forced out of King Dedede's body, a dark energy being known as Dark Matter ascended into the skies as if trying to flee. Aided by the Rainbow Sword, Kirby rose up into the air to face off against the enemy. At first, Dark Matter adopted a fighting stance using a sword of his own dark energy, but Kirby's blade had the power to repel his attacks. After battling each other, Dark Matter fell as if defeated, only to reveal its true form, a ball of pure darkness. This was it, the final struggle. Kirby fought with honor, avoiding the many dangerous attacks his foe had, until finally, the blade of many colors slayed the monster, lacking any of them. Having freed the islands from this temporary doom, their connecting rainbow bridges shone once again with full vigor, as tranquility returned to Dreamland. Kirby went on many different adventures for this one. This time around, he had the help of many helper friends he could call upon when holding their abilities. This group of heroes was ready to aid Kirby at any time. They would all help in the adventures that came. On Dynablade, one afternoon while Kirby was having a nap, the armored bird Dynablade started ravaging the crops of Dreamland. This isn't something she would usually do. Kirby set out to investigate by going all the way to the top of the mountain where she resided. Arriving at the top, she was not willing to listen to reason. Kirby ended up having to fight against her. After Dynablade was weakened, Kirby realized what was going on. She was trying to provide food for her 3 children. Kirby decided to take care of the chicks while their mother recovered, giving them fruit from trees collected in a non-harmful way, and even teaching them how to fly. He was their caretaker until Dynablade was able to recover. Ever grateful to Kirby, she stopped doing the reckless actions that would harass others, as the entire flock flew into the horizon. In Gourmet Race, Kirby was heading to the top of a mountain, searching for some food. Upon reaching the top, he took a little nap. Suddenly, King Dedede showed up to crush the party, as he started to eat some of the treats found there. They both set out on a friendly competition to reach each other and eat the most food they could. While not a great tale, this experience served to show the rivalry these two have, which would be brought up from time to time, as the king would want to prove himself against Kirby. In the Revenge of Meta Knight, we see a drastic change of attitude from the mysterious Masked Knight. He had a plan and aimed to stop Dreamland from its lazy lifestyle. Perhaps he wanted the citizens to stop snoozing all day and become more productive? He was up to no good, and Kirby set out to board his ship, the Halberd, and put an end to his plans. Alongside Meta Knight in command, the crew consisted of Captain Ball, high-ranking officers of the Meta Knights, and a faithful sailor Waddle Dee, whose communications could be heard by Kirby as he made his way to the ship. Though there were obstacles in his way, like getting thrown off the ship on several times, Dynablade showed up to help him get to the ship. She was shot down by their weapon systems, but the aid provided helped Kirby get into the ship. As he started destroying core components of it, little by little he took care of the external parts, and then snuck his way in to stop the ship from its core. After the fate of the ship had been decided, Meta Knight advised his crew to abandon the ship, as their future would look grim if they didn't. He stayed behind to fight Kirby, by challenging him to a fair duel, sword on sword. Kirby managed to get the upper hand, and just as the wheelies that were powering up the ship ran away, he mounted atop one of them and drove to the ship to make an escape. However, Meta Knight made a last-ditch effort, trying to stop Kirby from fleeing. Ultimately, Kirby jumped off the ship with his wheelie pal, and as Meta Knight also made an escape, they all saw the Halberd crashing into the ocean. Perhaps this taught the masked swordsman that the bad guy role did not fit him. He was better off offering help to those in need. Finally, Milky Way Wishes was the last adventure Kirby embarked on for this time. It all began when one day, the sun and the moon suddenly started fighting with each other. This went on for many days, with the inhabitants of Dreamland growing ever tired of the constant shift in the time of day. Kirby and his friends were observing from their homeland in planet Popstar, when suddenly, a jester named Marx came to seek out Kirby. It seems he had an idea on how to stop the fight. He asked Kirby to find the comet Nova and make a wish to him, but in order to summon him, he had to find the star power from the other planets near Popstar. Kirby then embarked on an intergalactic journey to do just that. He visited the nearby planets and gathered their star power, allowing him to call upon the giant comet Nova, an entity capable of granting one's wishes. Just as he was about to ask for peace from the sun and moon, Marx appeared and kicked him away, asking the comet instead to grant him the power to rule over Popstar. It turns out this was all his plan. He convinced the sun and moon to fight each other, and gave Kirby the task to summon Nova for him. Nova granted Marx's wish, giving him power that altered his form from a cute character to a terrifying bat-like creature. The comet then started heading towards Popstar, possibly to make Marx's reign on it. While Kirby drifted away in the vastness of space, the power of the stars he had collected surrounded him, granting him a starship. He then went towards Nova to stop whatever he was about to do. Kirby infiltrated the insides of the comet Nova, and using the starship, destroyed his inner cores. This made him come to a halt. Kirby then landed on a familiar battlefield to face off against Marx, angry for the stopping of Nova, who was still in the process of granting his wish. Marx had gained immense power from the celestial being, but Kirby still managed to defeat him. Getting launched into Nova, Marx crashed into a big explosion that took out the both of them. The galaxy had been saved from an impending doom, and moved by Kirby's actions, the sun and the moon stopped their struggle, bringing peace to all the stars. Ever since the time dark matter came into Dreamland, a curious creature had shown up here and there in Kirby's quest. This guy was called Gooey. He was apparently part of dark matter, however, it seems he had no malicious intentions. After Kirby defeated dark matter, Gooey stayed behind and became friends with Kirby and his other animal pals. One day, Kirby and Gooey were peacefully fishing, until they saw a black big cloud covering the skies. It was more dark matter. This time around it wasn't a single entity like before. A massive amount of dark matter entities had arrived and were starting to cover up many areas of Popstar. Coo the Owl suddenly arrived saying, "Hurry Kirby, Popstar's in big trouble!" The dark matter clouds had managed to spread across Popstar. They had possessed some of the inhabitants, like Wispy Woods, the familiar forestry, Adelaine, an artsy girl that had come to the planet to practice her art, and once again, King DDD. Kirby and Kui set out on the quest to get rid of dark matter once again, this time not only being assisted by Rick, Kine and Ku, but also 3 more animal friends joined in: Nago the cat, Chuchu the octopus, and Fitz the bird. All of these heroes embarked throughout many areas of Popstar. Along the way, they would come across a lot of people in need, to which they would assist on their requests, and the gratitude that came from each of them would manifest itself into a positive energy source called Heart Stars. With enough of these, Kirby and company were able to completely purify the stronger foes dark matter had managed to put against them, making the dark influence slowly decrease and be cleansed from each area of the planet. After going through each corner of Popstar, the heroes arrived at the top of the castle where dark matter had taken King Dedede hostage and was hiding. Once again, they had to face off against the poor monarch. After doing so, most of the dark matter influence was finally gone, and all that remained was the center of it, the core and origin of the malevolent force. As Kirby decided to head into the ominous sphere at the center of the planet, all of the heart stars of gratitude that Kirby had collected formed together to create a legendary artifact, the Lop Stick. Wielding the weapon made from pure positivity, Kirby flew into the hyperzone. Inside, surrounded by barriers of darkness, Kirby finally encountered a familiar face. The primary dark matter manifested and faced off against the hero, but using the power of kind emotions emanating from the Lop Stick, Kirby was able to beat his foe. However, a greater evil was still lurking out. With his sidekick defeated, the true leader of the dark matter appeared before Kirby, Zero. This monstrous creature, resembling a giant eyeball, was the source of it all, and it was the time to defeat him for good. Kirby fought while dodging the dark energy Zero would throw at him, and after a fierce bout, it seemed as if Kirby had succeeded. Zero, in a last-ditch effort, having most of its form destroyed, hanged on and tried to defeat his enemy by focusing all his remaining power into aiming its pitch red eye pupil. But the positive power coming from the Lop Stick was more powerful than his dark energy. Kirby was able to defeat the very source, and as the darkness completely dissipated from Popstar, our heroes were able to earn a rest for their efforts. The story this time begins in a place far from Kirby's home. The planet Ripple Star was the home of the Fairy Kingdom, one that guarded a powerful shining crystal as a relic. Life was mostly peaceful here, until one day, a dark cloud suddenly appeared and covered the planet. It was dark matter. A fairy called Ribbon knew it would be bad news if dark matter got hold of the crystal. She hurried to the Fairy Queen's castle, to the room where it should be safe kept. She told the Queen her plan to take the crystal away from dark matter's grasp, and to her approval, she jumped on the crystal and flew away into the depths of space. Unfortunately, the invading dark matter got notice of this and sent some of its entities to try and stop her. Ribbon, in her fleeing efforts, was attacked by the dark matter, causing the crystal to break into many smaller shards that fell and spread throughout the galaxy. Perhaps by luck, however, she hung on to one of the shards and fell into planet Popstar, where Kirby managed to find them. Ribbon explained her situation and begged him for help, which our hero gladly accepted. The crystal was able to guide them towards the shards that had fallen, and reassembled them into the main crystal. While they collected the pieces throughout the planet, they ran into a Waddle Dee, the artist Adeline, and King Dedede, all who fortunately had managed to find a shard each. Unfortunately for them, this made them easy targets for the dark matter that had followed Ribbon, as they each would get possessed. However, Kirby was able to bring them back to their senses and drive away the dark matter controlling them. As a token of thanks, they all decided to tag along Kirby and Ribbon on their quest to restore the crystal to its full power, each providing their own aid to Kirby when appropriate. Once the crystal had detected that all the shards that fell into Popstar had been recovered, it would reveal another star where the party had to go to continue their efforts. Thanks to the crystal, a small portal leading to their next destination would open up, allowing them to travel and continue their quest. They searched, collected, and recovered the broken shards on a handful of different planets, until the crystal detected the final pieces to be back home in Ripple Star. Without delay, the team embarked there and made its way to the castle. While ascending the place, they found a room covered in pure darkness, and Kirby fought against a mighty foe, Miracle Matter. It seemed as if it had the final part of the crystal, and it was a powerful enemy, as it managed to replicate the many powers Kirby himself was able to copy. After a tough encounter, Kirby defeated the foe and recovered the last piece of the crystal. Once back together, it released a bright energy pulse, powerful enough to drive away the dark matter looming around the planet, causing it to retract into the sky. All of the fairies rejoiced as the nightmare was finally stopped. However, the crystal reacted once again. It felt a powerful dark matter presence. Suddenly, it shone a ray of light directly into the Fairy Queen. It seems she had been possessed by dark matter after all. The power of the crystal managed to drop it out of her, as it flew into the sky where the rest had gathered. Kirby and company knew they couldn't let them escape, so he decided to call upon his trusty warp star. It was finally time for it to shine, as the whole crew jumped onto it and flew to the newly formed Dark Star. As they went into the very core of the darkness, Kirby found his mightiest enemy yet, Zero 2. Was he a resurrected version of the previously defeated Zero? Or was he a different entity? It mattered not, as the thing that was clear is that he was going down. As Ribbon grabbed Kirby to help him fly, and the crystal morphed into a type of ray gun, the showdown between them began. Zero 2 would fight with his dark influence, but the power of the crystal seemed to be just the thing necessary to repel him. After struggling to reveal his weak spots, Kirby and Ribbon managed to land a finishing blow. Throwing him into a defeated state, it started to prepare for an explosion. The team quickly flew away in the warp star, as the whole dark matter conglomerate blew up, leaving no trace behind. It was finally over. Dark matter had finally, completely been eradicated from the galaxy. The Fairy Kingdom rejoiced, as they named Kirby and friends their decorated heroes, bringers of an era of peace for them and for all the stars. High above in the skies, there lies a realm called Mirrorland, a parallel world to Dreamland. Its entryway is a mirror aptly located in the clouds up high. It was said that the mirrors located within this world would have the power to grant the wishes that were reflected on them. However, one day, the mirrors started to only reflect bad things, and evil presence had manifested inside to cause this. Meta Knight managed to catch notice of this, and fearing repercussions for both the mirror world and Dreamland, went into the mirror to investigate. Meanwhile, Kirby was taking a morning stroll, when suddenly, Meta Knight attacked him? He looked paler than his usual self, and he showed up out of nowhere and slashed Kirby with his sword. However, for some reason, instead of taking a hit, Kirby was split into 4 different versions of himself. The grim Meta Knight quickly fled the scene. Quickly, a warp star appeared, and the 4 Kirbys riding on it followed him right into the sky, going all the way inside the mirror world. Once inside, they followed him alongside the path of clouds. He, however, was faster and entered the mirror door before the Kirby team could catch him. On the other side, the real Meta Knight had found himself against a shadow version of himself. He lost a duel against his doppelganger, who quickly trapped him within an artifact called the Dimensional Mirror, and once he was inside, the foe shattered the mirror and spread the shards throughout the land. He then fled through the mirror door, only to be followed by a peculiar Shadow Kirby. Our main Kirby team finally caught up to the place where the knights had faced each other. Noticing the empty mirror case, they started exploring this world, looking for the shards to restore the broken mirror. Through their journey, they would sometimes encounter the Shadow Kirby. At first his intentions were unknown, but he never showed any signs of aggressiveness. If anything, he would usually flee once noticed. After going all the way throughout the mirror world, they managed to gather all the mirror pieces. Going back to their main hub, they arranged them and the dimensional mirror was restored. They knew their foe would be at the other side. As they walked in, they found themselves in a shadowy arena, with Meta Knight inside. As they were approaching him, however, the real Meta Knight showed up to beware of the imposter. Having his identity revealed, the Kirbys faced off against Dark Meta Knight, the alleged perpetrator behind the recent darkness surrounding the mirror world. They all fought and defeated him, their foe shattering in the middle of the arena, like a mirror, but in its place, a black hole suddenly formed, pulling the heroes into it. Meta Knight threw his sword inside, hopefully to help Kirby out. Once inside, they found the true culprit of all the wrongs within the mirror world, dark mind. Using mirrors to attack, this evil being was ready to finish Kirby. Luckily, our hero wielded the sword that Meta Knight had thrown in, and faced off against the villain. After defeating him, he shattered like a mirror, but more black holes would pop up and their foe would resurge again on the other side. Kirby and company fought him every time, until at last he revealed his true form. Behind his evil-looking mask, his core, a giant fiery eye, was ready to stop playing games. It had an uncanny resemblance to Zero and Dark Matter. Could it be the Mirror World's version of them? It was certainly possible, as they both tried to cover their respective world in darkness. Nevertheless, the Kirbys fought against the adversary until they was severely weakened. He attempted to flee, and to give chase, the Kirbys called for the Warp Star. This time, however, each of the 4 Kirbys got their own. They gave chase to the skies, using the star's energy to shoot Darkmind's core down, until it was so weak it could not go on, and was finally destroyed. The mirror world was saved at last. Kirby and company soared the skies on their way to the mirror that would lead them back home. Suddenly, Shadow Kirby showed up. They now knew that just like our Kirby, this Shadow version was also pure of heart, and would remain to protect the mirror world if trouble ever arose again. Having their ordeal over, the Kirbys returned back to Dreamland, where they would reunite once passing through the mirror. Before leaving, Meta Knight left one of his swords inside this realm, perhaps to be of good use someday. And with that, we have finished the first part in this video series. First than anything, thank you for watching all the way to the end. It really does mean the world to me. If you are confused about the part at the beginning where I mentioned the other videos I made 10 and 5 years ago, but can't find anything on my channel, it's because they were uploaded to another channel I have been running since 2009. There might be a chance you actually come from there, but in case you don't worry. I have started this new channel, milestones, due to several reasons and issues with YouTube itself. But I am taking this as a way to start fresh with a clear vision in mind of what I want to do on the channel, and I decided to use this project that I was committed to making for sure to be what kicks it off. I will link a playlist that contains those other 2 videos in case you want to check them out, as well as the next parts of these videos will be included in there. By the way, just to clarify, I had originally written about the Great Cave Offensive from Superstar, but overall I feel it's not really a key thing or nothing relevant really happens in that mode, so that's why I excluded it. I thought I'd at least mention it here in case people wondered the reason. This project for the 3rd anniversary special has been in the works since January, and after finishing the script for it, I saw it had become so massive. The original plan was to have just a single video, like I had done before, but due to how big it became, I decided to split it up into roughly 4 parts instead. My goal is to try and upload one part of the video each week, leading up to the date of the anniversary on April 27. If all goes well, the final part of the video should go up that day. However, while making this part, I saw the editing process might be more complex than I initially thought, and I do want to have my vision realized on these videos. So if the days move a bit, then so be it. At least I am kicking off in time. These are getting made some weeks in advance, so I am hopeful I can make it. But Forgotten Land will be released in between, and I for one sure want to spend my good time playing it. I'm hoping I can balance that and the videos at the same time. After all, I will feature that game in the final part. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about the video in the comments. I'm still trying to figure out the style I want to follow while making this, so I hope I get to land it and improve it over time. Of course, your feedback will really help me as well. If you want to see the next part of these videos, then make sure to subscribe as well. This series is my main focus for the time being, and while I won't be a full Kirby content channel, you can check out the trailer I've made to see what you can expect from me. I will leave a card on the screen, as well as to the next part of this video when it's been uploaded. Thank you once again for watching the video. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and remember, you're always welcome in my town. See you next time!